Is this camera needed? Let's find out. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is a real-world preview of the Canon R6V, which is Canon's first full-frame camera in the V lineup. Now, it's only been a few months since Canon put out the R6 Mark III as well as the C50, and this is basically the little brother to those cameras. And a spoiler alert for you, there's a lot of R6 Mark III in this camera. Now, Canon says that this is the video-centric version of the R6 Mark III, whereas the R6 Mark III was considered a hybrid camera because it was really meant for stills, but also does cinematic things. Now, this camera can do stills, and we'll get to the specs later on in this video so you can see all of the differences. Now, I do want to let you know that this is a pre-production model that we have a limited amount of time to use, but we did take it out to a soccer game to get B-roll footage. We also used it to do some tests in the studio, and we're filming with it right now. Which means everything you see here at the desk is recorded with this new camera. Canon isn't the first company to do something that is kind of like a stripped down version of something they already have out. This camera reminds me of what Sony did with their ZV-E1, where they took the A7S III innards and put it inside of a smaller camera, and also what Nikon has done with their ZR. Now let's take a look at the outside of the body. Now this is an entirely new design from Canon. It's the first time they're using something like this, and it is different than what you found in the R6 Mark III. From the front, it looks like an R50V with its boxy design. It has the front record button as well as a power zoom rocker. The grip is larger than the R6 Mark III's grip, and it does use a slightly different material. The back of the camera, on the other hand, looks nearly identical to the C50. Now, they did chop off the EVF, and it still has the same 3-inch 1.6 million dot vari-angle touchscreen that the original R6 had. But overall, the layout and buttons are the same as the C50. The control spin wheel is a hybrid between the R6 III and R50Vs, but it doubles as a spinning wheel as well as a 4-way D-pad, which is a first for a Canon camera. Maybe you can enter the Contra code. If you know the code, put it down below. If you're a 20-something, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Moving to the top of the camera, there is a color mode button, a hybrid photo-video switch, a mode dial with the new slow and fast mode for slow motion video. There's also a bunch of custom dials and buttons, a digital hot shoe for 24-bit audio, and that zoom rocker that we already talked about, as well as a record button. It has the same side ports as the R6 Mark III, full HDMI, USB-C, mic jack, headphone output, and remote terminal. Now, what's different from the R6 Mark III are the exhaust vents that you see on the side and bottom of the camera. If you're wondering whether it's passive or active cooling, it is actually both. It has an active cooling system with a built-in fan, along with a passive heat dissipation structure, but it's not the same as the C50, which incorporates a larger fan, which should lead to longer run times. Just like the R50V, it has a vertical tripod mount, along with rotating vertical UI, which the R6 Mark III does not have. But the R6 Mark III does have rotating vertical display when you have an EVF, because you can look through it. In this case, it doesn't. This camera does. In terms of memory card slots, you have dual card slots. You have CF Express B as well as an SD card slot for redundant recording. And in terms of tally lamps, it has one in the front, and around the back, you have a tally lamp around the screen, which you can see right now. In terms of battery power, you have the LPE6P battery, which is the same one that you find in the R6 Mark III, but you do not have the ability to add a grip to this camera like you can do with the R6 Mark III. So if you need extra power, you're most likely going to plug in a USB-C charger. Now let's take a look inside of the body, because that is what matters. You have the same exact sensor as the R6 Mark III and the C50, which is a 7K 32.5 megapixel full frame CMOS sensor that is powered by a Digic X processor. This is a front-side illuminated sensor. It's not stacked or backside illuminated, but it's still a very fast readout speed sensor. Now, even though Canon doesn't call it partially stacked, it basically acts like a partially stacked sensor and matches that of Sony's A7 V as well as Nikon's Z6 III. Does it shoot stills? Yes, it does shoot stills, but it does not have a fully functioning mechanical shutter. It doesn't have a shutter at all, which means you are only using the electronic shutter, which you can shoot at 40 frames per second with pre-continuous shooting. You've got dual pixel AF, and because it's not a stacked sensor, you are going to see some rolling shutter issues, just like we saw in the C50. That's only when you're shooting fast-moving things like a baseball player swinging at a ball. If you are considering this camera and you question at all whether you're going to take stills or not, you buy the R6 Mark III. Because if you're going to do stills, you kind of want to have an EVF. You can do stills here, but this camera is primarily for shooting video and video creators. Let me jump in here real quick and let you know that this video is brought to you by B&H and their Payboo credit card, where you pay the tax and B&H pays you back instantly. Now, there's two ways you can save. One, where you pay the tax and B&H pays you back instantly. To check your eligibility for Save the Tax benefits, visit bhphoto.com/payboo. Or two, you can get 6 to 12 months special financing on minimum purchases of $199 for 6 months or $599 for 12 months. Now, I personally choose to save the tax, but both options are great options to have. To learn more, visit bhphoto.com/payboo. Now, I save tax on everything I order when I use my Payboo credit card from B&H, from cameras to lenses and computers, to hard drives, TVs, and even film for my 4x5 camera. Whether you spend $10 or $10,000, those savings add up.
Low on cash, but still need to get your boo? Don't worry.
For more information and to apply for your Payboo card, head on over to the link on the screen or down below in the description. And remember to always charge responsibly. Let's start to move into some of the video specs, but spoiler alert, like I said earlier, if you've seen our R6 Mark III real-world preview, you're basically seeing the same exact stuff inside of this camera in more detail, but we're gonna still hit on the specs right here that are important. In terms of menus, you have the same menu that you find in the Canon R6 Mark III, which is the normal EOS menu, whereas the C50 and the R5C have a split version where you have for stills the EOS menu and you have for video the cinema-centric menu system, which means that most of the advanced cinema features that you find in those menus, you're not gonna find in this camera body. If you're going to switch between P and V, which is photo and video, it's an instant switch in this camera. Whereas with the C50 and the R5C, there was a good 4 seconds that it took to make that switch. So it's good to know that it's instant in this camera, though you probably shouldn't be shooting stills with this camera. Get an R6 Mark III for doing that. One of the only differences you'll find between the R6 Mark III and this camera when it comes to the menus is that you have the Q menu from the V series in this camera. So you can move it around the screen to put it in the right place for you, but it also has Canon's version of their product showcase, and that is called AF for close-up demos. What a great name. Now let's talk about resolutions and frame rates. We're not talking New Year's resolutions here, people. We're talking about frame rates. Frame rates? Practice. You can shoot full width DCI 10-bit 422 4K up to 60p fine, which is oversampled from 7K. Now we're told that the 60p is a slightly different process in terms of oversampling, which we saw when we did our tests in the R6 Mark III, which gives you some loss of details in 60p. And as I mentioned earlier, we are filming with the camera right now, and according to my notes, we're shooting in 4K 24p fine in C-Log 2, 10-bit 422 all eye. For those of you who have used the R6 Mark III when it comes to video, you will know that the menu is super confusing when you go to change the different frame rates. So you might be like, I want to go to this, but it's like you can't go to that unless you change this, or if you do that, it's going to change. It is kind of confusing. You just have to get used to it. Just like in the R6 Mark III, you have 7K up to 30p open gate RAW or HEVC, and we're filming in that mode right now. That's why the set looks a little different, because you're seeing outside of the normal lines. Now, I know this is the latest buzzword and the biggest thing that people think they need. It is really not that necessary for most people. Now, what it does allow you to do is capture the whole frame, and then you can recompose later, especially if you want to shoot vertical video, because it gives you larger areas of a vertical on the frame because you're getting the whole 3:2 sensor, which makes it a little easier. Just be careful because it uses a lot more data. It's not something you should have on all of the time. You should be more selective because it definitely bogs down your computer when it comes to editing because of how much data is there. But there is a feature that the C50 has that I wished the R6V had, because it's more of a content creator centric camera, or maybe they both should just have it, but that's the ability to record a second clip, a 9:16 vertical clip in 1080p to a second card. Basically, what you can do in the C50 is you can move a vertical frame anywhere in where you're recording, and it will just use that portion to go to a second card, but be vertical and ready for socials. That is such a time saver, and it should have been in this camera because this is really for those content creators, and they're the ones who would use this the most. But with this camera, you're gonna need to do that in post, but you do have frame markers on the screen to help you figure out where that frame is going to be. And for those who use anamorphic lenses, there is no D-squeeze support in this camera, but the C50 does have it. Let me jump in here real quick because I want to show you FroPack 4 in action on this photo right here, taken with a Canon, starting with Blue's Clues, followed by Brooklyn, C41, Copper Tone, High C, Kaleidoscope, Mel Brooks, Saltwater Taffy, Thick, Tintype, and Wet Hot American Summer. But check this out. My all-time favorite from FroPack 1 is Skittles. With one click of a button, we go boom. But check this out. Exclusive and all new to FroPack 4, we've got 4 custom adaptive Lightroom presets that include Face Enhance, Full Body Enhance, Eye Only Enhance, as well as Background Blur. So look, if you want to speed up your RAW workflow or give yourself a great starting point, or also edit on the go in Lightroom Mobile, because these presets work on JPEGs and RAW on the go, we created 14 all new custom Lightroom presets that you can check out right now at fronosPhoto.com/FroPack4. While you're over there, you can play with the sliders to see the befores and the afters. And if you decide to pick them up right now, they are currently on sale. Or if you want to save even more, you can get the Grand Slam bundle that includes FroPack 1, 2, 3, and 4, and of course, Skittles is included. In terms of high frame rates, the R6V can shoot DCI 4K up to 120p with audio, along with DCI 2K up to 180p, which is not oversampled. They also didn't dumb this camera down. It can shoot 7K 12-bit RAW up to 60p internally with proxy and sub recording to the second card. You also still get C-Log 2, which we're filming in right now, and we love the colors that we get out of the C50 and the R6 Mark III, so we expect to get the same out of this camera. In terms of ISO, you have the same dual base ISO of 800 and 6400 in log that we found when we tested out the R6 Mark III. It's nice to have such a high second base ISO of 6400, especially for those shooting in low light situations. Something that's different in this camera than the C50 is you have IBIS. You have 7.5 stops of IBIS on its own, or 8.5 when you're using an RF lens paired with the IS. This is something we didn't expect to see from Canon because they didn't put it in any of their other video-centric cameras, but it's nice to see that they added it. Being that this camera has active cooling with a fan, how does it do in overheating situations? Well, this is all according to Canon. They told us that at room temps of 73 degrees Fahrenheit or 23 degrees Celsius, you'll get 120 minutes or more in almost all video modes, including RAW. But at higher temperatures, you are limited to around 60 minutes in RAW plus 4K 60, but they noted that it's very high temperatures where that becomes a thing. When I shot the R6 Mark III and the C50 outside, I didn't run into any overheating issues at all. Keep in mind the R6 Mark III doesn't have a fan in it, and this camera does, so I don't expect it to be a major issue. But enough talking about what's inside of the camera. Let's actually show you a montage captured with this camera. I want to thank Austin for shooting and editing the montage that you just saw. Let me jump in here real quick and say, do you struggle getting sharp, crisp, and clear images like these in low light situations? Well, if you said yes, I have a free guide for you over at phronosphoto.com. Just look for this orange box, put your name, email address in it, hit send it, and I'm going to send you that guide to low light photography for free. Before we wrap up this video and get to the price, there is one more important thing to talk about, and that is a new lens that Canon is putting out and is also available as a kit when you purchase this camera. Of course, you can get it as body only, but this is a new lens. It is a Canon First, a full-frame switchable zoom lens. It's an RF 20-50 f4IS USM PZ. I should mention that it has a power zoom option. Now it's switchable, meaning you can use it with a power zoom where you use the rocker on the front of the camera, or you can switch it back into zoom the way that we all know how you zoom, with your feet. With you like turn it and you can zoom from 20 to 50. This is an internal zooming lens, which is great for gimbal work because it's not going to change the balance. There are 3 nano USM motors, 2 for controlling the zoom and 1 is controlling the focus. It also has IS up to 8 stops or 6 stops on its own, which means if you put it onto a C50 or a camera that doesn't have image stabilization built in, you are getting 6 stops of IBIS. When it comes to pairing this lens with this camera, you can control in the menu how fast the racking speed will be. You can also control the zoom via Canon's Connect app, or a new $70 Bluetooth remote, or the $160 version, which is a remote grip, which is what the vloggers might end up using because it has a little toggle on there for zooming, recording, and a bunch of other stuff. Depending on how much pressure you put on the zoom rocker will determine how fast or slow that it zooms. This would also be a good lens to pair with a C50 because that also has a zoom rocker. In terms of price, it's $1,399, but there is one more very important announcement that Canon made, and anybody that has an RF lens will like this. the new caps going forward, not in this new lens, the caps that go on the back of the lenses will be able to go on much easier and not only go on one specific way. And they're gonna charge you $9 a cap if you want to replace it, which is more expensive because Nikon charges $5 for their Z caps, but it's well worth it because it is so hard to put those damn caps on. And in future lenses, they should be including that with the purchase. And finally, the cost of the R6V. It's coming in at $24.99 or $36.99 when you get it paired with the 20 to 50 kit versus $2,799 for the R6 Mark III or $38.99 for the C50. Now, in comparison with some other cameras out there, like the Nikon ZR is $2,200 and the Sony ZV-E1 comes in at $2,200, but when that was first released, it was over $2,400. Personally, I would have liked to have seen more separation from the R6 Mark III, which is $27.99. This is a $300 difference. I still think it's priced pretty fairly competitive against the other cameras that are out there. It seems to be pretty packed with a lot of good things, but you have to decide for yourself. If you're a video creator, this is the camera for you on the Canon front. If you mention at all in your brain that I want to take still photos, you're gonna go with the R6 Mark III and you're still going to get great features shooting video because it's basically the same thing. We use the R6 Mark III on a bunch of our videos that we've done so far and we have no issues with that at all. But again, if you just want video-centric, this is going to be a solid option on the Canon front. What separates the R6 Mark III from the R6V, you have a EVF, mechanical shutter. You can take flash photos because you have that mechanical shutter. You can add a grip, and of course, it feels slightly different. It's designed more to fit in your hands, whereas the R6V is more boxy. But what about the C50? Well, there are more pro features in there. You have shutter angle, vector scopes, you have de-squeeze options, you have time code port, you have a bigger fan, XLR inputs, a top handle, but you do not have IBIS. That is the camera you go to when you want more of a cinema camera, but right in the middle is the R6 Mark III. So this is a pretty busy lineup now. You have 3 cameras using the same exact sensor that do different things, and you have to decide for yourself which one is the right one for you. For me, it's an R6 Mark III if it's the one camera that I want to do a little bit of everything. But if I'm just doing filming and doing more filming and taking a C80 out into the world, which is what I've been using to film shows, well, this could be a camera that I throw in the bag that we lock off somewhere else and don't have to worry about because it acts more as a cinema camera. What do you think? Which one would you pick? Let me know down below. And there you have it, Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.